Hello, 7th graders. We are ready to start Chapter 6, which is our chapter dealing with geometry. And so we need to review a bunch of the common terms involved with angles today. So first of all, an angle is a figure formed by two rays with a common endpoint. And again, so if I wanted to name a ray has this as a symbol, and it might have an endpoint on the end. So if I wanted to say like ray AB, I would put that above the AB, and that would say ray. So there are four different main types of angles we should know by now. This would be an acute angle. It's a U. This would be a right angle. And this box means 90 degrees. So anytime you see that, you know that that's a right angle. This is an obtuse angle. Again, this should just be review. That's why I'm kind of flying through it. There's one like this is a straight angle, and it is 180 degrees. So an acute angle would be less than 90, looks like it's closing. An obtuse angle would be more than 90, because it looks like it's opening up. Then we'll move on to complementary angles. Two angles whose measurements add up to 90 degrees. Any two angles. They do not have to be connected. They don't have to be right next to each other. So if I have a 35-degree angle and a 55-degree angle, those two would be complementary because they add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles, two angles whose measurements add up to 180 degrees. Again, do not have to be connected to be considered supplementary. So if you had a figure like this, let's say that this is 40 degrees here, this would be 90, this would be 50, this would be 90, and this would be 90. So if I wanted to find two angles that are supplementary, I could say this one and this one, or I could say this one and this one, or this one and this one. They have to add up to 90. They don't have to be connected, but they can be. Adjacent angles, they share a vertex and a side. They are connected by, I should have added probably by one line. They have to be beside each other. So by one ray. So adjacent, so if I go back up here and look at these, what are angles that would be adjacent to each other? And it has nothing to do with how many degrees there are. It's just where they're sitting. They share a vertex and a side. So up here, this 50 and this 40 would be adjacent. They're right next to each other, right? This 90 and this 50 would be connected. They share a vertex, which is the middle, and one side. That's what adjacent means. Vertical angles. They are across from each other and they are equal to each other. Another way I like to say it is they are kitty corner. So again, they share a side, which you can say a ray. You could also say a line. So if I have this figure right here, this angle right here, and this angle right here would be considered vertical. They are across from each other, and they are equal to each other. They're both 90 degrees. This one right here and this one right here would also be across from each other and equal, as would this one and this one. Vertical means across from, so they're never side by side to be vertical. Vertical also does not mean up and down. It means across from. And then another term that we should know is congruent angles, and that's just equal angles. That's all that means. Congruent means they are exactly equal to each other. So here's an example. If I say write and solve an equation to find the measures of the two angles described below, and I tell you that this angle right here is 13 degrees, and this one is 11x plus 60 degrees. And you can see here that we have vertical angles going on, right? This one and this one and this one and this one. You can also see that this angle and this angle make a straight line, so they have to add up to 180, right? So if I'm going to write an equation for that, I have to have these two added together to equal my straight angle, which is 180 degrees. So writing an equation, 13x plus 11x plus your 60 is going to equal your 180. Right? These two angles, this one and this one, have to add up to a straight line, which is 180. So now we're just doing a multi-step equation that we learned how to do earlier this year. So we can combine what we can, right? These two things are alike, so that'd be 24x, and then I still have my plus 60 equals 180. Then I need to get rid of my 60. Well, how do I move it to the other side? It says plus, so we learned that you do the opposite, so I'm going to minus 60. That gives me 24x equals 120. And then my last step, I have to divide by 24. So 120 divided by 24. I believe that comes out to be equal right there. So 5 degrees, but is that your answer? That's not what it asked. 5 degrees is x, but that's not what it says right here. It says what is 13x? So 13x would equal whatever 13 times 5 is. 13x would be 65 degrees. And then since I know that those two have to add up to 180, to find the 11x plus 60, I could do it two ways. I could just put the 5 degrees in right here. Take it 11 times 5 is 55, plus my 60 is 115, right? 115 and 65, do they add up to 180? Yes. So I could have just taken 180 minus 65, and that would have given me this answer as well. Then here's another example that does not have a drawing with it, but it has all the information I need to be able to solve it. It says angle A and angle B are complementary. What did complementary mean? It means that the two angles have to add up to 90. So angle A equals 2x plus 30, angle B equals 4x. What are the measures of angle A and angle B? Well, we know that they have to add up to be 90. So then I have to take 2x plus 30 and add my 4x to it, and that will give me 90. Again, combine what you can. I have 2x plus 4x, which would be 6x plus 30. And then I have to get rid of my 30 because I can't do anything with the x until everything else is gone. So that gives me 6x equals 60, and then my last step is to divide. So my x is 10 degrees, but does that answer the question? It doesn't say what is x. It says what is the measure of angle A and angle B. So I need to plug my 10 in here. 2 times 10 plus 30. So 20 plus 30. So angle A equals 50 degrees. And angle B, well, 4 times 10, 40 degrees. Do 40 and 50 add up to 90? Yes, they do. They have to, otherwise they wouldn't be considered complementary angles. Then the last type of problem that I'm going to go over on this video is dealing with vertical angles, vertical and supplementary angles. So this question says if the measure of angle 1 is 115, this angle right here, if that's 115 degrees, I should be able to figure out all of the other ones just by knowing that one little piece of information, using all the information that I've learned so far. So angle 2, I know that angle 1 and 2 together make a straight line. And a straight line has to be 180 degrees. So to find angle 2, I'm just going to take 180 minus my 115, and that will give me 65 degrees. So angle 2 is 65 degrees. How do I know that? Because I know that these two together make a straight angle, which is 180 degrees. They're supplementary. They add up to 180. Angle 3, okay? If I know this one, I should very easily know this one. It is vertical to it, right? It's across from it, and it's equal to it. How do I know it's equal to it? Because they share two lines. They're across from each other. So if this one is 115, that one is also 115. Another way to look at it is, okay, now that you figured out what angle 2 is, we just said it's 65, correct? So if this one and this one together have to add up to 180, because they make a straight line, it has to be 115. So then I go to angle 4. Well, look across from it. It's across and equal to angle 2. So it's 65. Again, angle 4 and angle 3 together would have to be 180. And since you know this is 115, that has to be 65. This is 115. That has to be 65. They have to add up to 180 degrees. So I know that's a lot of stuff all at once, but you're going to need to know that to be able to do what we're going to do tomorrow. So bring that knowledge with you, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.